Hi everyone and welcome back to Chess for Charity. In this video, I'm going to show you a super amazing puzzle. This is a long puzzle, but it is so cool. So I encourage you to stick around and watch the whole video. Take a second and see if you can figure out just the general idea here. Like I said, it's a very long puzzle. You're not going to get it in 10 seconds, but see if you can find the basic idea, and then from there, see how far you can calculate. So before I show you the answer, let me just quickly encourage you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Half of the income that I earn in this channel goes directly to charity, so every like, every subscriber helps us out so much. Okay, let's talk about the obvious fact that there are two pawns on the 7th rank looking to promote. So if you promote, let's just say this pawn to a queen or something, and your idea is to go right here, that's not a good idea because this pawn would hang, right? With check, by the way. Right, some obvious things. So maybe your thought is to move this pawn, promote to a queen. Well, like I said, it's a long puzzle, so let me just quickly get the early lines out of the way. This is actually not a good idea because of the very cool move, queen c1. And even though this queen on e8 is pretty close to black's king, there's really nothing that can be done. You want to throw in a check, maybe try to deflect the king away from this area. It doesn't work because you have a rook here. And if you want to sacrifice the queen, maybe something like this, good idea, but again, the queen can't really do anything here. This is protected, and this is a very scary threat. So what, you do something like this to guard that? Well, it's still going to hurt the same way. That's mate. Okay. So pretty immediately you get, I wouldn't say caught up in the idea, but you see the idea of promoting to a knight. Because it's a puzzle after all, and you probably see that. Okay, this is the correct first move. You promote to a knight. Now, there are only so many ways that black can respond, right? They can play king f8, or they can play king h7. Let's look at the worst defense in the position, which is king f8. So if that's played, you just promote to a queen, and it's already very scary. The computer is saying the best move is queen d6. That just shows you how desperate we're talking here, because it can be captured in 3 different directions. So knight takes with check. Clearly you can see the game is going to be ending very soon. Something like this is sufficient right here. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you do not go to f8. The real puzzle kind of kicks off with this king h7 move. So maybe if you want to stop at this moment and see how far you can calculate it out, see what you can come up with. Okay, so in this position, the best move is h6. It's a very sneaky move. This move is threatening a very odd knight f6 mate. Kind of a weird mate, right? Maybe it's just me. I feel like I don't see that very often. So it's a pretty big threat. Okay, well, how can you stop that threat? Well, the only way that black can stop it is by putting their queen right on e7. So queen e7. And that's check, by the way. But you might wonder, wait a second, I can block the check with my own check. And that's right. Okay, well, this is mate unless the queen captures, right? So you have to capture. Queen takes f6. Pawn takes f6, right? Wrong. You have to pick right here, why does one of these work and the other not? So if you take with the pawn, this is actually a losing move because d2, and you're a little too slow here. You're one move too slow. Look at this. You go right here with the objective of checkmating. Nope. Oops. Then you win. Nope. Doesn't work. King h4, queen g6 check, and then everything gets traded off, and you just eventually untangle. Something like this will work. Yeah. Okay. So as instinctual as it may seem, you do not capture with the pawn. Instead, you move the king in closer. Okay, now you might say, how is this winning for white? I see that there are these pieces here. Black has a pawn. White has a pawn. Doesn't it seem like it might be a draw? No. So is black to move here? Black plays d2. Okay. Now you promote to a queen, right? You're thinking about going to f8 and then hopefully go to g7 for checkmate. Okay. They promote to a queen. They could also promote to a rook if they want, because they're pretty much worrying about this square and this square only. So, queen f8. How are you defending this? That's the question. Well, if you're black, you really only have one way to defend it. There's only one place that you can go to access this g1 square. Sorry, I gave it away. This g7 square, and that is g1. So you play queen g1. Okay. Now this is another critical part in the puzzle. It kind of looks like white is out of steam. What do you think is the move in this position that will win the game for white? It's tough. So the move is queen g7 check. And it might look ridiculous because that's just going to get taken. It has to get taken. So queen takes, okay. Pawn takes. What's the deal? Well, let's really quickly just point out the fact that black can't move their king. Like, they can legally, but they should not. If they move here, you just promote with check, and this is going to be a very easy win. Right? Check, and that's mate. These pawns are nice. So, white is kind of restricting all three of these pieces with just this one pawn. That's kind of a cool thing. But this pawn can run, which can cause this pawn to run if it's captured. Well, this is the crux of what you have to calculate. So, like I said, try it in this position. See how far down the line can you calculate it out. Okay, so let's talk about it. They play b5. Do you want to promote here? What do you think? Well, if you promote, all you're really doing is giving black some time, and you're giving them a resource. Maybe not there, but a resource to move this bishop around and get out. So you actually want to leave this pawn just where it is. So really your only sensible move in this position, you want to keep this pawn protected. You don't want to push this pawn. You just take. Okay. Now it looks like there's a pawn race happening. I'm trying to push my pawn up the board like this, and you're trying to push it down the board. Okay. So a4, b6, a3, b7. What's going to happen here? a2. Well, let's talk about this. You promote to a queen, looks very sensible. They promote to a queen, looks very sensible. Unfortunately, it's not very sensible because you don't have time to get around this big clump of material. You want to get somewhere like, just for example, if I can put my queen right here on h5, that'd be great. But I can't really get there because I would need to go like here and then here, there. Like you see the route, it would take a very long time. So surprisingly, this position is drawn because if you play something like king b or queen b7, they play queen g1, and they're holding this down. They're holding everything down, and you can check them if you want. They can move away. Oops, sorry. They can move away. They can interpose, and this is going to be draw. So like this, f5. Look at this. That's a cool way to draw. Look at this, is so cool. E takes F. Okay, E takes F. Look at this, is the best thing to happen here. Whoa, okay. That makes sense. It kind of looks like a draw the more I play it out. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make is that you cannot promote to a queen because it will lead to a drawn position. It might have to be precise, but it's a drawn position. So instead, as you might expect, the best thing to do is to promote to a knight, because your goal would be to move to d7 and then f8 for a checkmate on the king, or at least get the king out of the way so I can take and promote. So I promote to a knight. Okay, sure. They promote to a queen, because why not? They want to stop you from getting here. Well, now white plays knight d7. The intention, of course, being knight f8, the king moves, and then I take here, and you're going to lose if you're black. Well, here's the thing. There's so many things. Here's one thing. They only have a couple of ways to stop this. Here's one of them. Here's another one. But is it actually stopping it? Well, one of the amazing things about this puzzle, there are many amazing things about this puzzle. If they play queen h8, or sorry, a8, you can still make this move. And they have to take you. Because like I said, if they go here, this is going to be too much. This is just mate. So they have to take you. Now here is another amazing catch of this puzzle. What do you do here? What do you promote to? Well, if you promote to a queen, you just stalemated them. After all of that work, 15 moves deep into the puzzle, and you just stalemate them. You don't want to do that. That hurts. Instead, you want to promote to a rook. And even in this position, it's not so clear how to win this, it may seem. Well, black has only one legal move. These pawns are all gridlocked. This bishop can't move. This rook can't move. One legal move is king h6. And now, as white, you have to make a waiting move because you're trying to wait for something to happen so you can either swing around this way, try to get this rook, and hopefully they can remove defense. So you play something like rook b8. That's a sensible move, right? And here, the computer starts to vary in different defenses, but if they play bishop h7, obviously you just take the rook, right? Because, let's just show that, it's not stalemate, although it does look like it's close, they have one move. So good thing there wasn't something right here, or else, well, there's like a black pawn here and a white pawn here, I guess. But that's not the way it is. Okay, so they play king h5. Now here's the thing, there's so many cool things about this puzzle. I play king g7, I'm double attacking. They check me. I take the bishop, and even now, it's not trivial because it's 3 pawns against 2, and the king is really close, but it's not close enough because the best move here is king g6. Looks a little scary. Well, there's so many amazing moves in this puzzle. f5 check is the only way to win that position. Let's just go back for a second. Look at this position. f5 check is the only way to win it. And you might say, wait a second, what's wrong with this? I can just take this, right? Well, sure you could, but look what happens. Your rook is hanging. So you're forced to be deflected away. And what's the whole reason you do that? Because rook b6. Now, why do I want that? Because I want to get this rook. And whether you go this way or that way, it's going to be a deflection. You could also block, but it's the same idea. And that's, I think I'll kind of stop there. I imagine you get the point at this point. Here is enough. You can take right there and then just push this pawn for a queen or just mate with the rook, whatever you want to do. But that's it. That's a long puzzle, but there are a lot of ways to win that endgame. There are other defenses that black can put up at the very end, but it's kind of all the same here. So instead of here, they could go here, right? But it's pretty much the same idea. I play rook b1. I'm going to come swing around here. It looks menacing, but like I said, it's not. The king is in a strong position. This is another line just to show it. Something like this. I think they would probably play here. Rook g7 checks with the computer saying rook h2. There are a lot of options, but you can kind of tell here it's just over. Take here, run this guy up the board. So that's the position. Just as a quick review, just to look at where we started. Look at where we started. Do you remember this position from a few minutes ago? This is where we started. You started promoting to a knight, and then they moved. You threatened mate on this square. And then they said, okay, I have to stop you. Well, they're not really stopping us. You take with the king and not the pawn, because you don't want to let their pawns move, and you definitely don't want to unleash their pieces. After this little race here, it looks menacing. It's not too bad, because you can play queen f8, looking at this. They block you. You say, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to lock your pieces up. It's a pawn race, like this. And you promote to a knight at the end of it, like this. And no matter what they do, this one or that one, it's the same idea. Check them, and you promote to a rook to avoid the stalemate. It's just an amazing puzzle. Waiting move, depending on what they do, it doesn't really matter. If they go back, I should maybe say that, then you can play rook b2, and it's going to be mate on the next move. So it's just amazing. It's an amazing puzzle. And I'll stop it right here, I guess, because this is kind of where we ended. So I hope you got to enjoy that. This puzzle is amazing. It's a long one, but hopefully you stuck around. If you did, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And be sure to like and subscribe. Like I mentioned at the beginning, all of this stuff helps us out so much. But that is it for now. Thanks so much.